for the episodes I had the most fun in recording. Josh Benson and Gable were two of the top ones.
Gable's such a good guy.
Both times had Gable on. Some of my highlights for sure. Josh, hilarious. Loved having him on. I think one of the most fun episodes though was the TikTok Council.
Yeah, dude, that almost made it. That was like if I had the honorable mentions. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Things You Don't Hear in Church podcast. My name is Ethan.
And my name is Derry.
And guys, go check us out on all the social medias. It's 2024. We're everywhere except the places no one is.
And it was 2024 last episode too, but you forgot what day it is, listener, and you didn't accidentally click on this episode, which actually came out on the first day of the new year. Don't go check the timestamp for when this came out, because I am not lying. This is not the episode from 2 weeks or the week after.
The week after.
New Year.
It's not. It's not going to come out on...
We didn't pre-record the other one and record this one later.
Yeah. This is not coming out on January 10th.
Yes.
And it's definitely not being recorded on January 3rd.
Today is actually Monday the 1st.
Yeah.
So,
and you're actually listening on Monday the 1st.
Yeah. So the whole week that you think just happened didn't.
Yeah.
So if you made some mistakes, you got a second chance.
Imagine making mistakes in the first 10 days of the year.
I'm sure everyone does that a little bit.
I know.
Yeah.
I've read the Bible for 100% of the year. Every day.
Every second of every day?
I've read the Bible every day of every year this year.
All the years.
It's the third.
Nice.
So what are we talking about today?
It's the 200th episode.
It's 200, baby. Come on.
Pretty crazy. We've got
So
200. I feel like 100 was so recent.
Really? I feel like it was forever ago.
Really?
That's like 2 years ago. Almost.
I don't even know what we talked about. It had to be over 2 years ago.
Yeah. No,
Or
52.
under.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About
We've done an episode every single day since then. I think.
every day.
Since then.
Every
Every
week.
day we've done a podcast
Every day.
since then.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. Matt, we've been podcasting for 3.8 years.
Wow.
If you do once a week.
Yeah.
Which we took off 9 months in the beginning because
Yeah, at different points. Was it 9 months?
it was right before COVID and then a little bit into COVID.
Yeah.
Because I was actually it was probably more because you were in Asia for 2.5 months and then came back, and then I went to Asia for 4 months.
Yep.
Then you came to Cambodia.
Yep.
And we recorded a bunch
Some
in
episodes.
Cambodia in that sweaty closet.
Yep.
And then back in the day when we didn't do video, and then COVID happened and you went home and we just waited till you got back.
Mm-hmm.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good times.
So
Back.
in honor of episode 200, we are looking back at all the episodes and discussing our favorites and things that we've learned. And I realized
The highlights.
And I realized when I was thinking about what have I learned from our guests, I realized I should probably write down the things that blow my mind because I don't remember a lot.
Yeah.
I'll see an episode. I'm like, I know that was fire and something blew my mind. I can't tell you.
Yeah. It's crazy how much content we've created and just the amount of guests we've had on and just the stuff I've learned or had affirmed or been exposed to through those guests has been really cool.
Yeah.
Or even just studying for podcasts and learning stuff that I changing my opinion. Sorry guys, we had a camera problem, but we're back.
We're back.
Yep. And we didn't say a lot of heresy in the meantime from when we were gone.
Never
we also
do.
didn't say any swear words while we were gone because we were mad at the camera. None of that.
As soon as the camera goes off, we just start dropping F-bombs.
Swearing. Yeah. Anyways, we honestly respect so many of the people who come on the show. We've learned so much from them. And it's just crazy. We were looking back through all the episodes to find our favorite one. And we're like, oh my gosh, the amount of people we've had on the show over the last almost 4 years is crazy. Just the people that would come on. And even some of the big names, people with millions of followers and people who have tons
crazy.
of books and that are pastors and all this stuff would come on the show. It's pretty awesome, honestly.
People from all over the
World.
country.
Yeah.
I don't know if we've talked to people outside of America. Maybe we should expand our horizons.
Canada for sure. And
Oh yeah, Canada.
And I think other places too.
It's like a world tour.
Yeah. Definitely missionaries who don't live here full time.
Yes, people. Yeah.
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 Remember back in the day when we were trying not to evangelism at all because we're like, what if we go long term?
What if we go to the Muslim countries?
Yeah, we don't want to talk about evangelism or missions at all because they'll kick us out of the country because they'll listen to our podcast.
Right.
Pretty crazy.
Remember also in order so stupid, dude. In order to be like, we don't want people to know we're missionaries if we go over to the Muslim world. So instead of showing our face on the thumbnail, we'll cut out our face and add a stupid graphic.
Yep.
Not realizing or not remembering it's a video.
They click on it.
With our face. I was like, God. I think that was mainly for Instagram because we were doing a lot of pictures on Instagram.
Yeah, it was.
And we just use it for YouTube as well. But I look back, I'm like, idiot.
Yep. Because I don't think any like government's gonna use like the Wayback Machine or anything to find out who you are to kick you out. I doubt it. They could, but who knows?
They could also probably find out who I am in way easier.
Yeah, easier ways.
This would actually probably, you just gotta actually search us and then actually no, this is what happened. One of my students searched my name and I'm on a church's website for a missionary they support. So,
really?
Yeah, I'm just like, oh,
that's what came up.
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
So
that's the first thing that the government would find out.
Yeah, well, that's good to know.
Please take this off.
Who? Grace Christian Church? Who? Yeah. What?
He did what?
Did I quote that? Why is it red?
What is
happening to our camera? Listen, new year, new demons, man. We're gonna figure this out. What the
it's
heck,
only red on
dude?
that one.
That's
I'm gonna keep going.
Great. Yeah, keep going, bro. You do your
but
thing.
Today we're here to talk about our top 5 episodes each within the 200 episodes that we've done. So this will be personal for me and Ethan. We haven't shared the list with each other yet, but we did a top 5. I honestly have like a top 8, but I put different categories on some of the other ones. So I have just like my top 5 that I enjoyed the most and maybe learned the most from. And then I have like a compilation of the most fun episodes that we did, and then episode that I learned the most from. And that's kind of like my categories outside of the top 5. Yeah. What do you have?
I have I didn't do top 5 because there's so many. I don't have an extensive list. I could do top 5, but I have top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Nice.
I don't know why this is red, dude. That's wild.
Just gotta leave it for now. Maybe it's on a camera setting.
I can't tell you why.
Whatever.
Listen, dude, I don't know anything, man.
Truck keeps rolling. Train keeps
White
going.
balance.
Water
Should I
keeps
just
flowing.
do fluorescent?
Whoa.
Nope.
Now we're underwater.
Now we're blue. Now we're blue. Strobe. Should I try strobe? Now we're more blue. This is actually hilarious. I actually find this funny. So.
Oh, that's
and we're back.
Oh, we're back.
Okay, cool.
Let's see if it stays there.
Yeah.
Daylight.
Sorry about that. So.
Okay, you want to go first? Do top 1 or just an
honestly?
episode?
Yeah, I can. Honestly, some of my favorite episodes of all time, honestly, have been some of our most recent ones.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like, just because I think they're really important subjects, but also really fun conversations. So the first one, and this is in no particular order, but the first one I had, what came out 2 weeks ago, by the time this drops, is Can Christians Be Affirming?
Oh, wow. Okay.
I think that's one of my favorite episodes because it's such an important conversation for our culture, and it's incredibly niche, and I think that we did a good job extrapolating on it, and you had really good points on what kind of Christians we're talking about. Like you identified 3 different, like, there's like Christians who read the Bible and just want to ignore what it says, and there's Christians who don't know what the Bible says, and there's Christians who want to do what the Bible says, or people who just got saved. Yeah. Right. And so there's all these different things. So I thought that was really good. You want to go back and forth?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the episode I enjoyed the most that was just like us together was our Heaven and Hell episodes. I just loved like learning about it and thinking about it and what would it be like. And we went over like the possible metaphorical nature of some of the things that heaven is talked about. At least our heaven episodes. I think I should be more specific.
When we're trying to figure out like what will heaven look like.
Yeah, and we talked about how, at least I talked about how I think there's going to be an amount of pain in heaven.
Yeah.
That was revolutionary for me.
Well, yeah, I've been thinking about that since that episode. I've actually thought a number of times like, yeah, well, like part of the fun of life is the risk of danger. And so if there's no danger, what will that look like?
You look, if there's no pain, you can't climb mountains. You can't struggle in like a workout.
Well, you can climb
achieve
mountains.
anything.
It's just easy.
Sure, yeah. You could, yeah, I guess you could climb it technically. But like
You just have
the
100%.
word climbing to me has like a painful association.
You could fall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You fall. You just be
It's like we
walking
said,
up
like
a
which
mountain.
this is like totally like a side tangent we were talking about on another episode recently, but we were talking about like you respawning.
Yeah.
Like
It's all just the same, but you can respawn.
like that's gotta be like you like, or have you seen the show Heroes There's this like one girl who's indestructible, like she can never die, but she can get injured and it hurts. She just heals really fast.
Oh, huh.
So she'll like jump off a bridge to test her powers and just be mangled and then lay there in pain for a couple minutes and then it's back to normal.
A couple minutes. That
Yeah.
doesn't seem like it's worth it.
Her healing factor is not the best.
Not OP. That's hilarious. Couldn't you just incinerate her?
Eventually, it's like Deadpool, I guess. Like,
Oh, she just comes back no matter what.
yeah, save the cheerleader, save the world.
Interesting. What's your next episode?
My next episode is, and again, this is in no particular order, but
me too.
again, like, why did God have to die for our sins?
Whoa, that recently.
That recently too, because it's like I've never thought about that. I think it's a great question, and I was talking to someone back home over the break about it, and they're like, "Yeah, that's a really good question. Like, a lot of people need to know, why did God have to die for our sins?
Why couldn't the man die for our sins?
Or why
right?
couldn't God just do something else?
Yeah.
You know?" And I think it's just because it's central to Christianity, but it's something that we just assume is true.
Mm-hmm.
It's like one of those things. Like, yeah, of course, but we don't ask why, so it's fun to ask why.
Yeah, I think it's a question a lot of people have. A lot of people who grew up Christian might just be like, oh, I mean, obviously it's just Jesus died for our sins. It's just what we learned. It's all we know. I don't question it. But I think a lot of people coming into the faith are like, why a guy died for your sins? Why is that necessary?
And now I have to eat him.
Yeah, it's really strange, right?
Yeah, that sounds really weird. And say it like that.
My next episode, I think, is Chad Lewis. Pretty recent one.
Oh, okay.
It was so rapid fire and there were so many questions, but it was just so fun sitting with him and talking.
It was.
You know what I mean? Like it's like when you're in the presence of someone who is just so knowledgeable and so smart and can just talk forever. And you're like, man, I feel like you're just a human Chat GPT.
I was thinking the same thing.
And I can just sit here and just ask you questions and you got all the answers.
I
for me.
literally was like, I was like, when he finishes, I'm going to say it's like a human Chat GPT.
Yeah, it's
It's Chad GPT.
Chat GPT.
He's got to change his handle.
He has to.
Chat GPT.
That's
Ask
awesome.
him anything.
He makes funny little videos now too. Since I think he put out his first one like right before the podcast, maybe.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he makes funny little YouTube videos that are like a minute to 3 minutes long.
He's
on
got
just
TikTok
whatever
now,
topic.
too.
Yeah.
I saw his video today. It said, "What is a human?" And he just had typed the question up. What is a human above his head? It was typed. He didn't say it, and then he goes, "Well, metaphysically, it's this, this, and this, and well, philosophically." And he just started answering. I was like, "Wow, it was like so informative." I was like, "I never questioned like that deeply what a human was," and I learned so much. And I liked his format of just like having the question up there and just answering it.
Yeah.
Because then I was like, "That's nice. It's good."
We've had episodes on that though too. Like kind of blurred of like, especially our like robot episodes, right? Our transhumanist episodes of like when do you stop being a human, when do you start being a human, then you got to define what makes up a human,
Right.
all that kind of stuff.
Right.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Yes.
I wonder how many times I just had to write in that
Right.
little 30-second window.
Right.
The other one we did, it's a couple months. Actually, I'll pick one from the past. Death to Deconstruction. Definitely.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Really liked Josh Porter. I read his book after he sent it to us, which was really fun. Read that and loved it. And I kind of was like, I wish I would have read this before he came on the show. But he came on the show before his book came out.
Yeah.
But it was so good. The book only made me appreciate his takes even more and his story even more. And I think it's also a good needed conversation of death to deconstruction.
Absolutely. I appreciated that episode so much because he's one of my favorite artists growing up. And I think he has a lot of really good takes for people who are doubting. And he just has such a contrarian mindset to a lot of people that I think is comforting to people who are also sort of doubting and not sure if they can trust Christianity. And he's like a kind of person that sort of has like an anarchical like personality a little bit. And it makes you want to trust him a little more, you know what I mean, than other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because he does seem like he's a hardcore musician, right?
Yeah.
It's a very much stick it to the man type attitude. And so it's like, oh, cool. Like it's really nice to see. It's like when we were talking about Father Joe saying he's a priest. And he's like, as a priest.
Yeah.
But he's covered in tattoos and, you know,
a t-shirt on.
Yeah.
As a priest.
And he is a priest. It's like same thing for Josh Porter, like as
Yeah.
a pastor.
Josh's takes are also very almost like Orthodox leaning too, not in their theology, but just in their presentation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they just seem so lofty, I guess, almost in a way. It's really interesting. So
Yeah.
he was a good person to have on. I think my next episode that I really liked was the Christian Witch one.
Oh,
And a lot of people liked it. I love episodes where we kind of confront people. I think they're the most exciting.
Yeah. I'll say I did like it.
Yeah.
Off record, I said I did not like that episode. Overall, I liked it.
Yeah.
It was just almost draining in one capacity, because I was just kept trying to say like, I want you to be aware we don't think you're a Christian.
Yeah.
And she kept saying, no, I think we agree. And I'm like, no, we don't.
I think she knew that we didn't agree with her.
But I asked her straight up. I was like, it seems like you don't believe in the classic definition of the Trinity. And she's like, no, I think I do. And I'm just like,
but you just said you don't know who Jesus is. You don't know if he's God. You can't. You
just said
can't.
Jesus is not God.
Yeah. Say Christ is Lord. Say Christ is Lord right now.
Say Christ is Lord. That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. But I like that episode, and we have other ones planned, or had other ones planned, where we were gonna have like Mormons on and Jehovah's Witnesses
They don't want the smoke.
and stuff like that.
Come
and
on.
I think we could get them on if we wanted to, if we tried hard enough, and maybe that'll be a goal for the next amount of time we have in studio. But I would love to do that. Just like not combative episodes, but I feel like it's the front lines when we're doing episodes like that, because it's not just our opinion. We're talking to someone who actually believes something else and kind of confronting them with their own worldview.
Yeah.
And they're confronting us. And it's,
And
like
it's vulnerable because it's in front of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we asked Mormons to come on, and they said yes. And then when we are ready to schedule them, they're like, actually, I'm not a Mormon anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I have a Jehovah's Witness who will come on.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
He's one of the, I don't know, we call them pastors or priests or whatever. I think he's actually a deacon. He said he was a deacon.
Okay.
When I talked to him on the phone, he's ready to come on.
Where's
So
he based out of?
Honolulu.
Oh,
He's here.
in person.
Yeah.
There we go. That'd be super cool. That'd be super fun.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to talk in person because it humanizes them, and you can help. It helps you. It makes it easier to just remember
we can't yell at
Amen.
someone in person.
It's actually easier to yell at them because there is no connection. There's no Wi-Fi problems.
Oh, true. Yeah.
There's no.
They have to sit here and listen.
They have to listen to me yell.
Yeah.
And you guys get to witness it.
There could be camera problems though.
Yeah. Also could be just Derry saying we're not going to post that because I yelled.
We'll just edit it out.
Yeah. It's just like it's really calm in the next cut. I'm just like fuming red.
You're just red, but it's still calm. You're breathing heavy.
I really liked Peter Volk's testimony.
Oh, really? Yeah.
That is
was
one of probably one of my top favorite guests for sure. Is just like his honest testimony and his non-compromising view on the Bible of like, look, I believe the Bible says this, and I'm going to live by it. And I understand the sacrifice that means for the rest of my life.
Yep. Pretty crazy.
I have so much respect for it and so much appreciation for it.
Yep. And I love that too. We've had a few episodes on that topic. I think his is probably the best. But I loved his topic on creating communities that you live with that are like a community that commits to you, because you don't have that anymore.
Right.
It's like, oh, I might live here for 2 years, and I'm gonna move out, and I'm gonna go over here, I'm gonna travel. But it's like you have no consistency of community in that way. And there's almost something so beautiful about saying to a group of people, you're my family, because I don't have another family to like in this place to call my home. And so I'm committing to you, and like through hard times, through whatever, you're gonna be my people. I'm gonna confess to you, I'm gonna cry with you, and when we get in fights, like we're gonna apologize to each other, we're gonna love each other no matter what. And it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Not almost like a marriage, but
It's
like not really.
incredibly rare.
Yeah. And it's really special. I mean, it's a deeper form of commitment and community, I think. Yeah.
100%. And one I think
I like
might be on your list as well. It's got to be one of the funniest episodes we've ever done. Definitely probably one of the top two funniest episodes. Christian Thirst Traps with Josh Benson.
Josh Benson. It's not on my list, actually.
Oh, it's not?
Top 5, yeah.
Dude's just hilarious.
He is hilarious.
It's only gotten better.
It was so fun to have him on, honestly. It was just like a riot back and forth.
Yeah, he's just an enjoyable guy to
We
hang
have
out
some
with.
episodes that are like so informative, and other ones where you just go to laugh. It's like a comedy show almost. Like
Right.
we are talking about a topic of like, I don't know, like comedy and Christians and how far you can go, where the line is and stuff like that. I forget what we talked about with Josh.
Christian Thirst Traps. We're just
Oh,
roasting
right,
Christian
right.
like guys trying to flex with Bible verses on the screen.
And you're just having fun.
I remember there was one guy on TikTok that Josh Benson responded to who's a Christian Thirst Trap.
Oh, really?
And so I saw it and I was like, I'm responding to this too from our podcast. I responded to it and I made a stitch on it, a stitch from it. And the dude actually commented on ours and was like, dude, I thank you for pointing this out. I didn't even mean to come off this way. Like,
Whoa.
and I was like, wow.
Nice.
Nice. No
Thanks,
problem.
bro.
I got no problems now.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So we changed it. We stopping Christian Thirst Traps out here.
Yeah. That was your whole top 5, right?
Top 8.
Oh, you have top 8?
So-
Frick.
I have a couple.
You did 2, so I got to do 2 now.
Okay.
I think Father Joe.
Okay,
is
that was
my-
one of mine. So
My next favorite one.
yeah.
He's just so. Oh man, we had another like 45-minute conversation I recorded after that too, which was really, really, really good.
You recorded it.
Yeah,
Good.
I just recorded it on
Your
my
phone.
phone,
Yeah.
not on anything else, just the audio. But we talked afterwards. We talked about hermeneutics and the historical grammatical method, and it was just fantastic. Yeah, I loved his podcast on liturgy and the usefulness of it and what it like how it brings more meaning to different activities. That was really cool. Maybe eye opening for some people. We've also had him come and take us through a Anglican liturgy, like a service basically, and that was really special
Not
too.
on the podcast.
Yeah, not necessarily something I'd want to do every Sunday, but something that's super special every once in a while. I think
Yeah.
is really cool.
You could be like an Anglican Creaster.
Yeah,
Christmas and Easter guy.
Yeah, that'd be hilarious actually.
Everyone's like, this guy's not a Christian. And you're like,
Like I am.
I just go to this other church. I just want to get really centered on the holidays.
That's awesome.
We are planning on having Father Mark on, who's another Anglican
Oh, really?
priest. Yeah, I reached out to him. I said, hey, in the new year after the holidays, because you're a priest, I know it's crazy for you. You want to talk about coming on the podcast and talking to us about how you pick up on theological things through. He wrote a theological paper on Lord of the Rings and The Office.
Oh yeah.
2 separate papers. So
Right.
I asked him to come on. And he said he'd be down. So we have more Anglican people
Cool.
coming on later.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, he was one of mine, so that's really good. And this is like the last one I can share, or maybe it is one. Oh yeah, this is the last one I'll share. The Bible codes.
Was that just us?
The one where we did
We reacted to some videos, right?
the TikToks
Oh,
about
yeah.
the secret Bible codes.
Those
And
are
we're just
awesome.
I think that was one of my favorites because of the comments we got.
People were so mad.
Dude, it was hilarious because the first clip I cut and put in the beginning was me yelling at the mic like, this is Gnostic garbage or something like that. And people were like just commenting like, I was willing to give you guys a chance. So I realized you're both morons. And I was just dying laughing. I was like my wife was like, I don't know how you can do this. Like I would be so sad if people said that to me.
Do people get offended when you comment stuff like that? Like when you like normal channels, if you just call them names, people would get offended. But honestly, when someone calls me a name online, I'm like, you can't be serious. Like you have to know I don't care.
I'm like, yeah. And moron's not like a big insult.
Yeah. Like I will take you seriously, probably to a bad extent, if you write out like a full comment about like what you didn't like and all that kind of stuff, and I'll probably be hurt by it a little bit. But if you just start calling me names in like a short sentence like that, I'm like, lol.
LOL.
Lol, I'm making a video.
Here. Just so your license is not exposed to the world.
Thanks. I think the bottom of it's cut off, like all the important parts.
true. All the things are cut off.
Is this
All right.
empty? I need to take it back.
Yeah. I'm just always reaching across.
Yeah. I thought about that at the beginning though. Like someone was really desperate, they could go and get my
They could.
license.
Yeah, you will get there's nothing to steal from us.
Yeah.
We don't get paid.
Yeah, we don't get paid. So
Like the worst part. I always think if I got robbed, I'd just be like, dude, like you I guarantee you have more money than me.
I just realized my phone has been on like speech to text mode, and I have much text on the screen right now.
That's hilarious.
Anyways,
Um
okay, my next
Bible
episode.
codes.
Yeah, Bible codes. Anything else you like about it?
Well, I mean, I thought it was really informative and really fun topic.
Mm-hmm. It was really fun.
Uh-huh.
Da Vinci Code, all that stuff we covered. Pretty funny, and it's something that you just have heard, or I had heard my whole life. Right? You'd always hear like, oh, there's like this correlates to this, and it's like crazy. And you're like, whoa, there's so many other like coincidences in the Bible because of how Hebrews like write their scriptures, right? And you're like, whoa, that makes a lot of sense. Like that you would use the same numerology for all this kind of stuff, but it doesn't connect to like the speed of light. You know what I mean?
Right. You
Or,
also
like,
have to think that this was information passed down from every Hebrew like scholar or person who is educated enough to write for thousands of years through through like 3 exiles or 2 exiles and like 3 occupied what's it called, oppressors, you could say that, occupations, yeah, like with Persians and Babylonians and Rome and all that stuff. And so it's just like now if they did that, that'd be super sick, but I don't know if they did that because of the unlikelihood of it, and also just not true.
Yeah. Good episode.
Yeah.
My last episode of my top 5 is a hard one to choose from, honestly, because I want to say Ray Pittman, just because the episode was so crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was titled "What Do You Do When They're Not Healed?" and he was talking about his testimony of this baby he prayed for in this village, and if the baby got healed, like the whole village is probably gonna come to know the Lord. And the whole village isn't saved. They're like in Brazil or somewhere or something.
Fiji.
Fiji.
Yeah. I thought it was in Fiji. Yeah.
Some tribe.
He spent most of his time in Fiji.
Fiji probably. Then.
Oh no, it was I think it was Papua
New Guinea.
Yeah, because that's when he got on the plane and the woman said, "You have to come back," and the Lord has not allowed him back yet.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, and the baby dies. He prays for, and basically none of the people get saved because of that. Later on, they do, but the episode is just so challenging because you're like, wow, like I think about that sometimes, and like the guy would let that do that. It was just confronting a very vivid question, I think, in my own mind. Yeah, I think that's my top 5, but I have some honorable mentions.
Mm-hmm.
Do you? Or
I mean, I already went over, so
I think for the episodes I had the most fun in recording, Josh Benson and Gable were two of the top ones.
Gable's such a good guy.
Both times had Gable on. Some of my highlights for sure. Josh, hilarious. Loved having him on. I think one of the most fun episodes though was the TikTok Council.
Yeah, dude, that almost made it. That was like if I had the
like,
honorable mentions.
It's like, dude, TikTok Council, like how special of a thing to have all those guys on there, just goofing around. We had a great time.
We should do another one, honestly.
We should. It got
make it a yearly thing.
Yeah, almost no views for some reason, but it was so good.
What? Yeah, I know.
It was so good. Like all the people we had on, the conversations we had, the goofs back and forth.
Each of their individual videos got the normal amount of views we get. Mm-hmm. But for some reason, when we bring them all together,
no one wanted to listen.
People are like, no.
Yeah, we got to find listenership, but the video was kind of down.
Yeah.
It was funny. Which we have way more people listen anyway.
It might have been the thumbnail because there's so much going on that maybe it was hard to read.
Maybe.
Oftentimes I look back at the thumbnails and I'm like, ooh, I understand why that didn't get a lot. It's hard to read.
Yeah. I think the episode I learned the most from, I think this is true. I'm not 100% sure, but just in racking my brain, I definitely learned a lot from Chad Lewis's episode.
Yeah.
But I think the episode I learned the most from was when Stephen Nimesh came on. And Stephen Nimesh is the doctor.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, one of our first like big names to come on. He's a doctor of philosophy, and he talked about classical theism versus like neoclassical theism, and he is a classical theist. And we talked about how like within philosophy, there's very rigid lines to what God could be like, right? He's a maximally supreme being. He's like all of the omnis, right? And we talk about like divine simplicity and things that just have to be the way they are for God to be God. And you could argue about if God has to be that way, if he's confined to logic, all that kind of stuff. But it's an argument between that, the philosophical structure of who God is, and how the Bible presents him to be having like all these emotions and changing his mind and like all this kind of stuff, right? And you're like, how do you reconcile those things? And the way we think it is with neoclassical theism, but you have to watch the episode to kind of get all that. But
I'd say both.
Yeah, it informed my theology a lot and made me study a lot. Like after he came on.
My favorite part of the episode was him saying, in classical theism, you're not like God is not supposed to be knowable. Like in the philosophical idea, God is not knowable. And I was like, well, what do you do with the fact that like the Bible says Jesus was the fullness of deity dwelt in Jesus? And he's like, exactly. He's like, we have this perspective of how it's supposed to be, and Jesus completely obliterates it, and that's what makes Jesus and the gospel like such good news. Is it? And I was like, wow, I think I understand now. I think I understand. Like I was like, wow, that makes sense. Where you're like, it's supposed to be like this, but it's not because of Jesus, and we don't understand, and that's what's beautiful. And I was like, wow, that's cool. Yeah, that's cool.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I think there's two things I want to do at the end of the podcast, and you can tell me if you want to do these or not. But we could talk about maybe testimonies from the last 4 years of ways we've heard the podcast has changed people's lives or things they've liked about it. Or we could talk about where we want to take the podcast in the next 100 episodes.
Let's do both.
Okay, which one first?
I would say let's look back and do testimonies. Because then this will have people, listeners, be like, oh man, this is a big deal. Let me give it to my friends. And then they'll share it. And this is a growth strategy.
Yeah, there we go.
And they definitely are not hearing that.
Yeah. Well, I know first off that we've had a lot of friends give the podcast to people who are struggling with their faith and be like, whoa, like this helped me a lot. I had one friend who got the podcast and gave it to their friend who was struggling, an ex-YWAMer, and they were like, wow, I loved it. They reached out to me. We had a video call, and I was able to help them as they were kind of like deconstructing their faith a little bit.
Wow.
So that's really cool. Like one of the little testimonies I can remember. I have
Yeah.
others, but can you remember anything that you want to?
Yeah. One of my students, I mentioned this before, she came to do one of the ministry school I was running, and she's like, "You're the podcast guy." I was like, "Oh, you know my podcast?" She's like, "Yeah, I've been listening like every week for a year."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Whoa, how'd you find us?" And she's like, "Well, I love Gable Price, so I searched Gable Price podcast, and you're the only person I found that interviewed him."
Yeah.
So I listened, and I thought, this guy is great, and I sent it to my other friends, and then like I've been listening, and they've been listening for like a year.
Wow.
And then just a couple months ago, another student from a different ministry school here was like, "I've been listening to your podcast for like 3 months." And she's from Switzerland, and she's like, "My friend showed me you guys," and I was like, "That's crazy! Like this is that's fun."
And then you have Japan, where Ben was at. The guy who used to be our voice.
Yep.
And he was just hanging out in his room, and he apparently has very thin walls. And he heard in the next room, a Japanese girl who was on staff there talking
I
about.
thought it was an American girl moved there.
Oh, really?
I think so.
Well, I thought he told me it was a Japanese girl.
Maybe it's a Japanese girl. I don't know.
Anyways, he ran in the next room.
Either way, Japan.
Because he heard that she was talking about it, and he was like, "Are you talking about the Things Don't Hear in Church podcast?" And she's like, "Yeah, I've listened to every episode." And he's like, "I was the voice for the first like 100 episodes or whatever."
Yeah.
And they got to talk about it for a while, and I was like, "Wow!" Like
That's
even
so
in
cool.
Japan, like you didn't know that the guy who used to be the voice of it was going to be in the next room. That's super cool.
Right? I've had like 2 people at church come up and say, "Thank you so much for your podcast." One of the people were like, "My son started listening to it. He showed his friends. They really like it."
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Another woman was like, "Are you the guy? Are you the podcast guy?" I
Yeah.
was like, "That had Abby on." A lot of our church
lot of people liked Abby.
A lot of our church knows us because of Abby.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
we had this podcast for years before.
Yeah. A lot of people reached out after the Abby episode on Women in Ministry and was like, "Wow, we really like your podcast because of the way you interviewed Abby."
Yeah.
That was cool.
And that's good because we had done an episode with her before that one that came out that was all in person, but the camera wasn't as good. And also the audio apparently didn't record. So we said, "Hey, can you actually record another one?" And she's like, "Yeah, but I'm in the office. Can I just do it over Zoom?" And that actually might have been better because the picture was good. But either way.
Yeah, either way. Pretty cool. I think just going off that theme a little more, there was a guy that I met teaching in Tijuana, and I'll leave his name out just in case he doesn't want me to say it. But he was super cool. We hung out for a while, but I was just in the breakfast line, and he comes up behind me and goes, "Hey, what's up?" And immediately I thought, I'm sure I know this person, and I just don't remember them. And so I was like, "Hey, what's up, bro?" And we do a little dap, and he's like, "You don't know me, but like you're my favorite podcast." I was like, "No way, that's awesome." And this is like the first day I'm teaching in this place overseas, or not overseas, but in a different country. Yeah,
overseas. Anything from Hawaii is overseas.
It's overseas. That's true.
I went overseas for Christmas.
And he's like, "Yeah, like you're my favorite podcast. Like I'm just here volunteering for the week, and like I love it. I'm sitting in your lectures." And it was cool to just hang out with him. We talked for a while. He was like, "Yeah, like the podcast has like influenced my relationship." And
that's crazy.
Like your relationship episode you did, which honestly, like, why did people listen to that episode?
We did a dating episode when we were like 23 years old, both single.
Yeah. We did 2 dating episodes.
I'm sure we probably gave a disclaimer like, we know we're single.
Yeah.
But still.
That's so funny.
It's like all theoretical.
Yeah.
That's like you don't know anything about
even if it's
relationships.
theoretical, like it's still...
They're good principles.
Yeah, good principles. I had a guy I was arguing with on Instagram tell me that I can't talk about dating.
Dude, do you
see that?
No, my sister sent me the screenshot of that story because he posted your comment on the story.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And so she said, "LOL," just sent me that because like you made it to his story.
Dude, I did not make it to his story.
And
He
I
was
was like,
so mad.
I read your comment or something like that, and I was like, I don't understand. There's so little context here. I'm so confused. But he's like, "Don't allow your single friends to tell you how to." I'm like, he has a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Like,
but even so, he was like, the fallacy he committed is called an appeal to
authority.
No, not appeal to authority. He did commit that one. But when you sell someone, they can't speak on an issue because they haven't experienced it themselves.
Oh, like when people say men can't speak on babies,
or you can't talk about dating, or you can't talk about marriage because you're not dating or not married, right? I forget what the fallacy is called, but
I can't speak on being single.
Yeah,
because I'm not.
Because you're not single.
Even though I was single for 20 some years of my life.
Yeah. So it's just funny. Anyways, moving on.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
Yeah, but we've also had more serious testimonies with the podcast. Like back in the day, we used to have tons of conversations with people who were deconstructing on Instagram. Like our Instagram used to be popping off back in the day.
Neither Derry and I use Instagram anymore.
Yeah,
so.
not a lot. But people would message us and be like, "Hey, like I'm struggling with my faith. Like I'm like I'm gay and I'm Christian. I'm just wondering how I can like stay being Christian because I feel like I'm gonna leave the faith if I want to like still be gay or whatever. And we'd have like super long conversations with quite a few people who had just that question.
Yeah.
And it was really, really good with
Yeah.
most of them.
Yeah.
There was one kid who like got saved because of like one of those conversations. It was
Yeah,
really cool.
one kid turned his whole life around, started financially supporting the podcast.
Oh, true. Forgot about him. Yep.
Yeah.
2 people actually did
Yeah,
that.
that-
Yeah. Pretty cool.
Mhm.
Back in the day. Forgot about those people.
Yeah, dude. Who knows how many lives the Lord has changed through just us press and record, bro. Like,
Yeah.
thank you guys for listening and being part of this 200 episode, almost 4-year endeavor of just trying to help people answer their hard questions. You know, we're going to keep doing it. We don't know where it's going to go, but we just want to help people. We want to be an outlet for people to discuss and hear different opinions, all Christian Orthodox opinions, hopefully, or at least have other opinions that aren't Christian Orthodox challenged.
Right.
And yeah, just be a place for you guys to find help. You know, that's why we exist. That's why we're here. And yeah, some people could say like, oh, you guys have been doing it for 4 years. Like, wouldn't you want to be bigger? Wouldn't you want more listeners? It's like, yeah, maybe. But it's like, yeah, of course, more listeners always be good.
Yeah.
But the reason we do it is because we want to help people. And
Yeah.
if we're helping people, whether that's one person or 10,000 people,
Yeah.
like, we're grateful that the Lord gives us a platform.
And I think our mindset the whole time has been like, we have the viewership of like a pretty good sized church.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, we've always talked about that.
Like we probably have like 300 people ish who listen to every episode if you average it out.
We have like almost 400 subs on YouTube right now. So
Yeah.
if you could make that like a YouTube or church members.
Yeah, so sometimes episodes get thousands of listens, sometimes they get 200, right? If you include like YouTube and listening. And so like to me I'm like, wow, like if I'm speaking to a church every week, like that's enough reason to keep going.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I also get to learn a lot myself, and if there's people who keep commenting and saying they enjoy it so much, like why would I quit if I enjoy it as well?
Right. And it's not like a crazy workload either. We're not like overwhelmed or stressed
Yeah.
to make this thing
Just
happen.
a few hours a week.
Yeah. It's max like 5 hours a week.
Yeah.
If you're doing prep and editing, and that includes the actual recording.
Right.
So, which is really fun. I really enjoy it. I'm only gonna keep getting better.
Yeah.
So, looking forward under that subject of keep getting better, the next 100 episodes, which is like 2 years, a little bit under, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Month under.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you hope to see happen? We haven't talked about this. This is a live.
Yeah, this is live. I mean, I want to do a lot more of those interview episodes where we interview people of other religions. That would be really fun for me. I think that's really interesting. We also get to learn about what they like in person believe. So not just like what we read online, and we get to have like not combative conversations, but ones where we can be like, we think you're wrong and this is why, and what do you think about that?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And having like those live dialogues, because I don't see that happen ever. There are
Right.
episodes you'll find online where Christians have debates with non-Christians, and the purpose of the episode is to debate, but the purpose of the episodes we have is like, this is what we believe, why don't you believe it? And like kind of a conversation to go back and forth, even though it is sort of combative like a debate. I really like those.
Yeah,
kind of
when you get
episodes.
two individuals or a number of people who disagree on a subject, you're going to have things that look like debate or look like competition because you guys disagree and you're trying to convince each other why. But yeah, the nature of it being like, hey, this is just a conversation. Like, obviously you want to change my mind, I want to change your mind, and that's something that Derry and I've always wanted to happen in the podcast. Like we talk, like from the beginning we started, we're like, man, it'd be so cool to have like Muslims on the show,
Yeah.
and like bring them on and stuff like that. So I would love to do that too. I think I would like to. I love doing the reaction content like we have done with like the TikToks or different YouTube videos. I find that fun because it's like
cultural commentary.
yeah, cultural commentary, or maybe like theological. It's like having a conversation with people that you can't usually have a conversation with. Like if there's like a really well-known theologian who has a theological take, or for example, like we did the Alan Parr episode on tongues. He's a really respected Christian teacher on YouTube, millions of followers, or at least maybe 1 million subscribers, and I think 1 million, at least 700,000.
Who knows? Yeah.
Yeah, really, really influential. And he's like, I changed my mind on tongues. I don't think it's for today anymore. And we got to walk through that and go step by step and look at and give a response for why we disagree. And that's really cool because we're not able to have Alan Parr on our show, but we're able to in real time respond to
He
his
declined to come on.
stuff. We no.
We asked.
we actually asked him like a while ago, but I don't know if it
Yeah.
ever got through.
Yeah.
I don't know if we ever saw the DM, but yeah, like I like the reaction content, so it'd be fun to do more reaction content. I don't want to do it so much that we're mainly doing reaction content because I think I don't always just want to be like, it's like if something's blowing up, it's good to do reaction to that because
We don't want to become Ruslan.
yeah, well, yeah, we don't want to be like just like Ruslan, but also I want to have organic content.
Sure.
I want us to make content. I just
Sure.
don't want to like see other people's and like
Right.
latch onto it only.
Right.
Oh, I think there's a purpose for it.
Yeah.
And then for just video wise, I don't know if our people know this here, but my wife and I are moving out of Honolulu, so the setup's going to look different. Derry's not going to be in the studio unless I don't know, maybe he will.
I'll be in
Who
my
knows?
room.
You'll be in your room.
Yeah.
And so the picture quality will actually look different, and so I'm excited to see how we can maximize the picture quality and make it look even better, because the fact that camera will be even closer to one of our faces automatically means better like a visual.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see the aesthetic of the show in that capacity adapt and change. And this show's like, it's got to be the most mobile podcast in the world.
Yeah.
Like seriously.
Yeah.
We went from like one microphone in a random hangout lobby, like a staff lounge basically, to a van at one point.
Yep.
Like one episode,
Minivan.
a minivan. We literally were in a minivan before there was video. To we did video in the one office, and then back to our room when we were roommates, then back to the office, and then here. But we also have been separated at many points, so we did Zoom and Skype. So it's got to be the most mobile. So we're like adapt. We're fine with
We're all
it.
over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited to see what the visuals will look like. And really, I would like to do a lot more with TikTok. In the new year, we're going to focus a lot more on taking our episodes and cutting them up into shorter clips and posting those on Instagram and TikTok. So to see that social media platform grow too, that'd be cool.
Yeah. If you could have 3 people on the podcast this year, who would you want to have? Top 3. Anyone. I'd say I only have 2
I
right
can
now.
choose anyone
Yeah,
in
you
the
can choose
world.
anyone. Well, realistically, I guess.
Kanye. Just
Okay.
kidding.
No, you can
I'm
choose
just kidding.
Kanye if you want.
I'm not choosing Kanye.
Really? If you could, would you?
No.
In your top 5? Okay.
No.
Or top 3?
Well, yeah. I would just want to have private conversation with Kanye.
True, yeah. True. I think I have my top 3, but it's just really fresh off the top of my head.
Yeah, right off the top of my head, there's this guy who has a podcast on YouTube I found called The Hell Project. He's
Okay.
UK based and he's a conditionalist.
Cool.
So I'd like to have him on to talk about conditionalism.
Yeah.
I think he could come on. He seems pretty.
Let's have him on.
Yeah, I was thinking about reaching out to him, or I was planning on reaching out to him already. So I want him on. I would love if I could have anyone on. I probably would talk to Ruslan. I think that'd be really cool. I like Ruslan a lot, and I would love to talk to either someone like inspiring philosophy would be cool, but we already have been in talks with him before about stuff like that, so that seems like it's really realistic. I'm trying to think of someone who's not realistic.
I think my top 3 are, this is gonna be a surprise, Francis Chan.
Oh, that'd be sick.
I'd love to have Francis on just to talk about like his transition,
His transgressions.
all of his sins, why he's not a Christian anymore. No, I like to talk about his transition from like being pretty reformed to like charismatic and where he's all at right now. I feel like he's still like pretty much the same preacher from who he was back then, still super convicted about intimacy with the Lord and prayer. So him, I think William Lane Craig would be just a classic.
Be dope.
Awesome guy to have on. And then honestly, I feel like it'd be really, really cool to interview Bill
Burr?
No. Bill, what's his name? Frickin'.
Bill Bickle.
No, he's the Bethel pastor.
Oh, Bill Johnson.
Bill Johnson. It'd be so cool to have
That'd be
him
really
on
interesting.
and just be like, hey, we've done so many episodes about you. Everyone online does episodes about you. Like, what do you think about all those episodes?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts and comments? Do you affirm the deity of Christ? Do you think there's weird and wacky stuff that like your church is doing that you affirm? Like, just ask them all those questions straight
Right.
up.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if a third I could do like, I would like to have Mike Winger on. That'd be really cool. Alan Parr would be dope. But I think like Matt Chandler would be really cool to have on.
Sure.
Matt Chandler's, I like his preaching a lot.
Yeah.
For thinking like big name pastors.
Matt Chandler.
I like him a lot.
True.
He's great.
Yeah. Would you want to interview more bands or no?
I would want to interview bands, but I think it's hard to interview musicians
It is a little bit.
because being a like asking hard questions platform, or that being like the goal, or like more theology focused, it's less focused on art.
Yeah.
But I like it. I think it's really fun. I think it'd be really fun to have Chris Renzema on, or Renzema.
Yeah.
I'll
find some metal bands. I asked my favorite band to come on. They didn't answer.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Dang.
Yep.
That'd
been crazy.
I think having Christian rappers would be fun.
Yeah.
Like we were gonna have John Keith on, but then he got COVID.
True, and he got COVID. Freaking guy.
So
Come
what?
back on, bro.
You can't press Zoom. You can't press start on Zoom.
Dude, you're sweating. Who
You
cares?
can't smell. It doesn't mean you can't talk. It's just gross.
Yeah.
KB would be cool to have on.
KB would be cool. Yeah. I'm trying to think of other pastors.
What podcast would you want to go on?
Oh, if I could choose one podcast to go on.
If you could go on 2 podcasts, what would you want to go on?
I don't listen to a lot of podcasts. I don't know what I would add to a lot of those podcasts. You know what I mean?
Just like your own NBA, the one you listen to,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the basketball podcast.
NBA ones. That would be funny. Dang. I think it would have to be Joe, of course.
Yeah.
Right? Because I could have the most open conversation with Joe. And I think I could answer most of his questions. It would be interesting, though. It'd be a little interesting. But Joe would for sure be number one.
Mhm.
Lex is my favorite podcast, Lex
Mhm.
Friedman. But I feel like I'm not intellectual enough to talk to Lex. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he has a doctorate. He only talks to people with doctorates. Like, if I go on there, I'm just like a dude.
You're like
I have a bachelor's degree.
Yeah.
Almost. It's like,
You're like I'm a doctorate in the making, dude.
yeah. One day.
One day.
He's like, then come
yeah,
on then.
Yeah, Joe Rogan for sure would be so dope to go on.
Dude, you know how fast, not how fast, but we could convince him of a lot probably on the show.
Yeah, I think we could just like
you
answer
and
some
me?
of his questions, because some of the things he talks about, I'm like, that's not a hard question.
Yeah, it's pretty easy, Joe.
And
most of what you're saying is just misinformation.
yeah, I'm like, that's not like what. So he was like, oh, like this guy stopped being a Christian because he found out that Christianity was actually like a mushroom cult, and they were taking.
Yeah.
Well, that's not true.
Like, that's just not
That's
true.
that's actually false. Like,
Yeah.
there's so much history that's just 100% not true.
Yep.
And so stuff like that, that'd be fun. And then again, I gotta say Ruslan. I just like Ruslan. Like, I just think
yeah, that would be fun.
he's
to
got
go
a
on
really.
with.
I like his perspective on things. Although I think he's not. I think he's less charismatic than I am, maybe.
Mhm.
But I don't know. I think he just doesn't talk about it. He says he goes to church where they'll do like prophetic words and stuff. He just doesn't talk about it a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ruslan would be dope. Who else?
I want to have Jordan Sang on
We could do that.
in person. That'd be great.
We could do
Or
that.
just zoom him in. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Be easier to probably get him on if we just zoom him
Yeah, it'd also be easier for the setup.
for the setup. True.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, guys, thank you so much for being part of our journey.
Episode
and
200.
continuing to be part of our journey.
Yeah.
Episode 200. Hopefully we'll see you at episode 2000.
That would be insane.
Could you imagine?
How old would we be at that point?
It depends
that would be
how
such a
many
long
we
time.
put out a week.
That's true. If we start doing more,
If this became a career and we could do 3 episodes a week,
it'd be crazy.
we'd get there 3 times as fast.
Yeah. That would be wild.
All right. See you guys. Happy New Year.
Shoots.